Gimel. Okay, Pasuk Yud Gimel. Parshas Noach Yud Gimel. V'yomer Elokim leNoach. Elokim said to Noach, this Midas Adin, Kates kol boser bolofonai. The end of all flesh has come before me. Ki molo oretz chomus b'vneim. Because the land has become filled with chomos, b'vneim, in their presence. I mean, chomos, as we discuss, includes stealing. But chomos is justified stealing, right? The Gemara says that, and the Rambam rules that a person forces a person to relinquish his ownership, and you pay him market value. You're a violation of what? Of osachon. It's chomos. That's classified as chomos. So meaning they stolen away where somehow they justify. According to the Medrash, they would steal post mishav pruta, and they would rely on someone else, that he'd waive the claim. Vini mashchitom es oretz. So all the Mepharshim explain. The worst, that wasn't the reason why the final verdict came. It was because it was chomos. Because these are referred to as muskolos. It's something which is rational, not something which is a dictate. It's a chok. It's a statute. Vini mashchisam es oretz. Rashi. Case kobosko Moshe Omar Tomotze Yuznus. Parenthesis Vodazurim Adl Musar Bol Olam. Tragedy comes upon the world. Voreges Tov Meroim. Right? When there's Midas Adin, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin doesn't differentiate Tzaddik and Rosha. Because nobody's perfect enough that the Midas Adin shouldn't reign in on him. Kimol Arz Chomos Lo Nechtam Gzadinim El HaGezer. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was Molos Osom. So what caused it to overflow? It's the Chomos. So over here, he explains the Siforno. You'd have a sharecropper. A sharecropper gets a certain percentage of the crop, although who does the crop belong to? It belongs to the owner of the field. Right? That's how he pays the sharecropper. He collects his fee by receiving a percentage of the produce or of the twigs. So over here he says, Shekulam Goslan says everybody's stealing from everyone else. Habalim Goslan es oris b'koach. The one who's actually the proprietor, the owner of the property, he forcibly steals from the oris because because he's helpless. He's at the mercy of the landowner. The oris goes to sabalim b'mirma. But the oris, the sharecropper, he has no choice. He has to do it through deceit. He can't openly steal because he doesn't have the upper hand because the owner of the land could dismiss him, could throw him off the land. But oven she'oris no senes kopir set l'gazlanim. So for who is the earth producing? For people who are not deserving, people who are corrupted, people who behave within the context of criminal behavior. Therefore, Kodesh Baruch says it's enough. The land is not giving forth to service people who are not deserving. So over here, it's interesting. The Rishon explained that before the Mabul, the climate was basically spring. After the Great Flood, you have seasons. There were seasons, but the seasons at a much more extreme level. The whole environment, the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, that Kodesh Baruch Hu, as a result, how did he bring the Mabul? The methodology. That in the zodiac, he took a star, and he took the star out of its location, and when he took that star out of its location, that activated the Mabul. Tomorrow Rosh Hashanah. After the Mabul, even when he put it back, he didn't put it back exactly the same. Therefore, many things in the physical aspect, climate, longevity, everything changed. It impacted on the whole existence of people. The Sforim learns later, that's the reason why Kodesh Baruch Hu allowed people to eat meat. Because before people were naturally healthy, meat wasn't necessary. It was an unnecessary evil, so to say, to kill, to sustain yourself. But afterwards, the people didn't have the same physiology any longer because of the climate and everything else, the way the world functioned. Therefore, meat was needed to maintain the health of the person. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan says, one time when people were healthy, because the Torah says that when does one eat meat? That if your borders are broadened, that's when you eat meat. Yachal Hashem is gvulcha. In Gorim. When Hashem will broaden your gvul, your boundaries, then you'll eat meat. So it seems to me that if you're a wealthy person, eat meat. Otherwise, you shouldn't eat meat. So it's an unnecessary expenditure. But today, that people aren't as healthy as they used to be, just to the contrary, you should even borrow money to purchase meat, to be part of your diet. That's Rabbi Yochanan. So over here he says, "Hin mashchisam esoretz, ashchisam yachta v'moretz." When I will destroy the generation, it's together with the land. What does that mean? She'aschis ashchis mezeg oretz. I will destroy the natural tendency of the earth. Va'avir benitias galgal chamo, and also the whole atmosphere is going to be changed. Shehito mimash v'hayo min amabul veilech. From the time of the Mabul going forward, everything changes. Climate changes, nature changes. Moshe Pirish, who Yisborach, Imanei Leo, V'chein, Nimatu Shnei Chai Yamin. You know what he's saying? He says, therefore, the lifespan was shortened because of this. Hanushi, take up Achar Mabul. Immediately, people no longer live 8, 7, 900 years. Stopped. The only ones who lived exceptionally long were only the Oversight Kedusha. The people there, even in their period of time, would live 70 years. They would live 180 years, 175 years. Or Yaakov, 147 years. Hear this? Very famous supporter. And therefore, because things, the physical health of the person changed, and every change, therefore Hashem allowed for mankind to eat living species after the Mabul. Very famous supporter. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary. It doesn't say ideally not. The Ramban writes, how do you have a right to kill? So Ramban says, since the Bria only existed in the merit of Noach, before Noach was equal. So there, Hashem only allowed the human being to take only what was the utmost necessity. But to kill, where do you have a right to take the life of an animal? But now that the existence only exists, because Noach was a Chen B'nei Hashem, so why does the animal exist today? It's only in the merit of Noach, which is the human being. Therefore, now the human being has a right to kill the animal. That's a Ramban. But he's learning, because now it's a necessity. The world factor was created for the human being. Was. So if the human being needs it for its survival or for its function, before it wasn't necessary. So therefore, you have no right to do it. Whatever. It's a necessity which borders on pikuach nefesh.
What purpose did the animals have before that?
Good question. Let me ask you a question. Ernie took biology, 4th grade in Detroit Day School. Okay. So what was the function of the Bali Chaim? What was the purpose? For two things. First thing when it came to, I wasn't what I'm going to tell you now. The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah that you find HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the plumage of birds, different colors. It's a level of beauty, exotic colors. Why? Could you imagine if a person's colorblind and he sees everything in drab green, or black and white, or gray? Your senses wouldn't be activated. For a person to be fully functional, you have an array of colors and all that. That causes the person to be functional at a different level. It has to do with the sensory function of the human being. The whole idea of colors. See, that's what I was thinking to tell you, right? So therefore, you need it. You have different types of animals. Let me ask you a question. A person spends $100,000 to go on a safari, right? So you could talk about it for the next 6 years and show his film or whatever he did. Although he could have bought and showed the same film even if he wasn't there. It was no different. But now that you went there, what did you see? You don't know what you missed, right? He tells you, you don't know what you missed. The other guy says, I can't afford it. I have to pay my tuitions. He says, well, I'm on a scholarship, so I could afford it. Okay? That's the way people live their lives today. So what's the going? It is. It's an experience. You see things. That's the Gemara Rosh Hashanah. Maybe, to answer this. There's a Ramchal. The Ramchal writes, there's certain species, you go to the Amazon, there's certain plants there that the civilized world has never seen, certain vegetation, which exists, and nobody will ever see it. You may have a few cannibals who are in the Amazon jungle, tucked away somewhere, where they still think they're in a prehistoric age, and they're scrounging and digging roots out of the ground. So what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created that? What is it all about? So Ramchal writes, we're going to speak about the Amazon. The Ramchal writes that in the Bria, in creation, the physical is only a representation of the physical. You have nether forces, you have negative forces, yeah, he calls it kochos. Various transcendental forces have to have a representation in existence. So it could be the animal, animals before, they do have a representation. They have a representation. And each one represents, why does the lion look like the lion and the tiger looks like the tiger? All have one species of animal. What do we need? Multiple, endless species of animals. The Gemara says in birds, in terms of numbers, are much greater than domesticated and undomesticated animals, the birds. Even min Torah, the min, I'm not talking about numbers of birds, I'm talking about the min, the species of birds. Torah only discusses the species that's not kosher, right? Doesn't speak about the kosher species. Kosher species are endlessly, multiply, much more than any other species. Why? What do you need so many? You're not going to eat 99.9, not even eat those birds. Why do they exist? The answer is there is a representation. That's a representation. It represents something which is positive. A min Torah versus a min Tomei. Each one has a spiritual representation. Except every spiritual representation has to manifest itself in the physical. And that's how it manifests itself. So let me ask you a question. Okay, I was thinking about that also. Alan's back to the Shal L'Shodas Torah, I see over here. So I was thinking, could I ask you a question? First of all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the future, right? Okay, so what year did the Mabul take place? No. 16, I think 56. Okay? So from the beginning of existence until then, how many human beings do you think lived? You mean you needed so many species to have a location to put their neshamas when they come back to be reincarnated as an animal? You know? Right, so I'm saying, so evidently it's for afterwards. By time afterwards, meat was permitted. That's number one. And secondly, I'm just on a very simple level, you know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has plan A, plan B. Plan B is there's going to be a Mabul. So if that's the case, you need all these species. You need the species just for the food chain, right? To feed humanity, right? The people today, you know, say, I can only afford to have one child because I can't afford to raise them. But the person has a 6-car garage, him and his wife. You understand? They can only afford one child, but they have a 6-car garage, and they live in a 30,000 square foot house. And the electric bill is they could pay 29 tuitions, but they can only afford to raise one child. Okay, so that's the way people make their calculations. You know, Shlomo Melech says in Koheles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the Adam Yosher. The human being was made Yosher originally. Bikshu cheshbonus rabim, but they sought out all kinds of computations and they totally corrupted the Yashrus. You understand? These kinds of calculations. This totally perverted and corrupted and everything. That's why things look the way they do and people think the way they think. Let's see the Maral.
Why did God not spare the innocent children?
Again, back to the Holocaust, rather.
This is pre-Holocaust.
There's a Holocaust like you never believed.
Yeah.
The Mabul,
Yeah,
right?
They were innocent children, young children.
What about, we're saying even tzaddikim died. Tzaddikim, right? If the Midas Adin is unleashed, if the attribute of justice, there's no difference between tzaddik not. You have to be perfect beyond perfect. And besides, children have a different level anyway. They have a different, you find the Adas Korach, right? The children also swallowed up in the congregation of Korach. Why are they guilty? Right? But they were swallowed up. So why? Okay, it's a discussion.